Hello, everybody. This is Vicky Pizzarelli with Engel and Volker's Coffee Talk with Vicky, and it is my pleasure today to have two really wonderful home stagers from J. Allan and Paradise Home Staging, and we got Josh West and Chris Paradise here, and they do excellent work. If you haven't seen their work, you really should, especially if you're a realtor. And we're going to have some great helpful tips for home sellers because I'm a firm believer of your first impression is your only impression when you're selling a property, and as well as for realtors that stop going the cheap way out. You have to invest money in your career and your business to make you look professional and be able to get the transactions that you want to get in your pipeline. So I'm going to turn it over to Josh and Chris. And let me ask you, tell me a little bit about yourselves, how you started, where you see yourselves going, and we'll take it from there. Welcome.
Thank you for having
Thanks,
us.
Vicky. So we started about 3 or 4 years ago. Josh and I have been friends for about 15 years now, and we were both sick of working, for the corporate rat race. And Josh came up with this great idea. He said, "Let's start a home staging business." And it's something I always wanted to do. Something I think he always wanted to do his own business, and it just stuck. We started doing it. We started developing clientele, getting business. It's been challenging on and off throughout the pandemic, but we're doing a really great job. We're really busy, and we're making a lot of difference with home sales.
No, I definitely see that. I know any buyers that have went into any properties that you have staged, they absolutely love it. They want all the furniture to stay.
We get that a lot. People want to buy everything.
Do you sell your furniture? Do you sell your staging?
Sometimes it depends on if we have the ability to replace it or not, or if it's, something that we're willing to part with kind of thing.
Right, right.
But we do sometimes. And also it depends on, some sales have certain pieces written into the offer. So in that case, we work with the agent to kind of make it right and make sure that we don't interfere with the deal going through.
That's interesting though, writing it into the offer.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting. I actually didn't think of that. That could be interesting, and everybody can be happy. You guys can be happy. The buyer, the seller, everybody's happy.
Yep.
I was thinking about you yesterday. Josh and I were in a house that we had staged about a month ago, and it was a house that you came by and stopped in to visit.
Oh yes.
And we were down there. We were pulling the furniture out, and I said, Josh, it wasn't that long ago we were here. And he's like, "What was it? A month?"
Yeah, about a month ago, Tiffany Lane.
Yep. And
it's closing Thursday.
That's a gorgeous house, but I don't think that house would have shown right if it wasn't staged.
No, you know what it is? I think it is people the average person doesn't have vision. And I think when your realtors or sellers use your services, it gives a buyer a vision on how they could use the space. Am I right in that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
And one of the things we noticed, some realtors will do a virtual staging, and the potential buyers come in and they're disappointed to see the house is empty. They feel like they've been duped almost because they expect to see a house filled with furniture so they can picture themselves living in it. And instead they're just walking into an empty room.
I agree.
So it does make a difference. It's you get that tangible connection with the home while you're in there. And that's what home staging is about. Getting the client to connect to the property, to get that really great warm feeling, all the feels about the house.
Right.
No, I agree.
That's feedback that we've gotten about virtual staging from agents that we're working with, that we're entering into relationships with, who the property's either been vacant or virtually staged and it's not selling. So they're giving staging, a try, and we have a consultation this afternoon for a home that's virtually staged. And we have 2 others that we have staged that are already under agreement that were virtually staged. And virtual staging will do a really good job of getting traffic to your open house, because photos are what bring people in, obviously. But when they get there, they don't feel connected to the property and they can't really see themselves in it because it's vacant, it's empty, you know.
No, I
No
agree.
emotion there. So
I mean, I know with that house you're speaking with about in West Greenwich, you even advise the seller as to paint colors to change for the wall. Like you go as far as just not staging it, you go as far as changing the tone of the environment and everything.
yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Yep.
Absolutely. And that's something as a third party coming in to look at the house uh, without without us having the emotional connection to the home. We can advise and guide them which way, what changes they should make that will be the most cost effective and earn them the biggest payback on the house. We've been to houses where the client loves the wallpaper because they have emotional connections to it. They put it up with their mom 35 years ago. Well, that's not going to help you sell the house. When it sounds a little corny. It's people use this phrase a lot, but when you're selling the house, you pretty much no longer own that house. The house is now gone on the market, and you have to make the house as sellable as possible. And Josh and I have used the analogy: if you're selling your vehicle, if you're selling your car, your truck, the first thing you should really do is remove all the bumper stickers off the back, because that's personalizing the car. Get all the personal effects out of the car because you're trying to appeal to the widest audience. And that's the same thing with home staging. Make it appeal to as many people as possible. And that's what we do. We go and we set the house up in a way that's going to have universal appeal.
No, I love that. I always tell a seller when they're ready to put their home on the market that this is not your home anymore. This is a business
Exactly.
transaction. And you bought this home originally to eventually one day make a profit on it, and now's the time. So being penny wise and dollar foolish at this point is really not good. It's not good benefit for the seller. And I mean, I tell you, what drives me nuts is when I see homes that, like, you go into a house and the laundry basket's on the floor, or everything's dirty and it's not clean, and it's like people don't seem to realize that's a big turn off to home buyers. So when you use home staging and everything's crisp and nice clean lines and all the personal photos are put away, buyers can envision themselves in that property, which you want when you're selling the house. That's the
Yeah.
ultimate goal.
I mean, we say all the time. So, a little bit more about our background. When we started our business, I lived in Chris's rental unit at the time. I had moved in there and done a bunch of work, did flooring and painting and countertops and tile in the bathroom and all that stuff. And then that's back when the market was first really starting to get hot, and sort of made the suggestion that maybe it's time to sell that, and we can use the money from the equity in that to, grow the business. So I live upstairs. I live upstairs in the loft here at Chris's house. And we say all the time when we're on consultations, and it's not just to, get people to want to stage, but if we had to sell right now, we would have to stage this property,
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
we would have to get rid of stuff. We would have to declutter. We would have to depersonalize. We would have to move stuff. Like, I mean, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a Golden Girls wall behind me.
Mhm.
It's a wall of all Golden Girls, and that wouldn't appeal to everybody that entered the house, So, there's dog beds and dog toys all over the place behind us, and
Right.
all that kind of stuff. So, it's not just having furniture in there. I spoke with an agent the other day that they just put a sofa in there and they put a lamp in the corner and they put some flowers on the kitchen, and they were like, yeah, it's staged. I staged it myself, and I mean, oh, sorry, the dogs are
That's okay.
barking. They don't know how to be quiet when we're
Okay.
on a call, unfortunately. But yeah, so it's not just about putting furniture in there. It's about matching the character of the property, number one, and romancing the house so that when people come in, they really feel connected to it. Especially in this market, buyer expectation is higher than it's ever been, I think.
I think so.
with like the TV networks and especially HGTV. You know, they've taken buyer expectation from 0 to 100, because most of the properties that they show on House Hunters and like My Lottery Dream Home and all of those shows, they're all staged,
Yep.
And I mean, with My Lottery Dream Home, the one that is staged the most is usually the one that they end up living in. And we think it's because it's all their own stuff. Like they already had the house and they're just go for fun kind of thing. But yeah, so all those properties are staged. And like when we're watching HGTV, when I'm watching HGTV and I see a home that's not staged, I'm like, whoa, because it's like, it's weird for them to show a house that's empty,
Something I want to mention, Josh talked about how we stage to accentuate the character of the home. And this is it's a little bit more unique here in New England, where there's a lot of older homes, some newer homes, big, small, all different sizes. So we have to keep our inventory very wide with varieties of styles and flavors of furniture so that we can fit and physically fit sometimes, but also complement the style of the home. And I know some stages just have very generic cookie cutter furniture that they buy it, wherever they buy it, and they just throw the same stuff in every house. But one of our favorite realtors out there likes to refer to us as staging with soul.
I love that.
Staging with a story.
That's a good tagline for your business, actually.
Yeah,
it really is. We throw a couple of antiques in, some new stuff, a couple of quirky pieces here and there, and we give the house a soul. And it's stuff where, we get the feedback the customers love this and that or whatever. We did a really cute log cabin recently.
Oh yeah, that was in August, and
that flew off the shelf.
Yeah, in this market, the property sold for $60,000 over asking.
Wow, and log cabins are tough to sell because it's really buyer specific property.
Yeah,
and it was a small one. It was only a one bed, one bath, but there was this great sunroom on the back of the house with a wood burning stove, and there was a really awkward wall. It was all glass, and we couldn't put a big heavy piece of furniture on the wall. And then the light bulb went off over our heads. We have the perfect piece to put in there. It was a bar made out of a bicycle.
Oh, wow. Neat.
And back and forth. They wanted to buy the bar. And like, we really can't. We had this made for us, blah, 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 whatever. But it's having those interesting pieces that really make the home stick out in your mind. I mean, granted, a log cabin's going to stick out anyway, but they're like, we got a lot of positive feedback from the realtor saying they loved the bar. They thought that was the greatest thing under the sun. So little things like that, little twists and quirks, it helps the house stand out a little bit too.
That's great. Now let me ask you a question. When you first meet with the seller, take me through the process of what a seller should expect when you're like a generalized process of what they should expect when you go have a consultation.
So, we start off with a tour of the house, obviously. Even if you're not staging the whole property, we walk the whole house just to kind of get a feel and, to figure out the space so that we can match furniture to the property. And it's pretty simple, easy to, navigate. We just walk the house. Chris really comes up with what we're going to put there. We work really well as a team where, I'm good at judging.
Please finish that sentence.
I'm really good at judging. Mostly Chris, but I'm good at judging like the price that we should charge and things like that. So that's what I'm looking at when we go into the house, and he's looking at, what are we going to put there? So by the time we get back downstairs or get back to the other side of the house where we came in, and talk to the seller about what we think we could do, or things like that. I've got a price in mind, and he's already got like a pull list started in his head of at least the main pieces of furniture that we have in our warehouse that he'd like to put in the house. So we go over the pricing, and most of the time the client is fine with it. Sometimes we have to, like our price is a little over their budget, and we have to like back out some things, like we'll take off a room, or we'll, I don't know, maybe use like less accessories in the process, or things like that to better fit their budget. But then if they're in line with the pricing, then we choose a date and
make it happen.
And we just kind of go from there. It's pretty easy, pretty simple.
Right.
We like to make it easy. I mean, I like where we've been getting so much more incoming interest, like more inquiries in the past 3 months. We used to go to every property. Like if somebody reached out, we would just automatically go to the property. But we'd spend our whole week kind of doing consultations if we did that right now. We wouldn't really be able to fit everything in. So now, it's even easier where, based on the area that the property is in, the amount of square footage and the asking price of the property, I can pretty comfortably quote, what the price will be. And as long as the property is described accurately to us, we usually always end up right at that range. So recently it's been more, when the client reaches out or when the agent reaches out, we'll give the agent pricing, and, they'll talk with the seller. And if the seller's on board, then we go to the property to tour and measure and get a feel for it. And, so it depends on the property. It depends on the agent, I guess. If, a certain agent, it's like, do you shop online or do you go in the store to feel it? You know what I mean?
Right.
So agents who are more technology like savvy and buy more online, I guess. More of the process is done before we arrive at the house, and if the agent, I guess, is go into the store and touch it and feel it and try it on, then we go that route instead, and we go to the property, and that's when the process starts. So it really just depends on what's best for the client.
Yeah, I mean, I always find like sellers are most of the time obsessed with the outside, but then, you have a great presence from the outside. And I can't tell you as a realtor how many times I've been to properties showing them the outside looks beautiful, the pictures look good. You get there and like, oh my God, what the heck happened?
Right.
Like it does not look anything like the pictures. It might be virtually staged over something that's already there.
That's a big one right now. Keep going, and I'll touch on that after.
Yeah, because I've seen that a lot now. Like you can have a house that somebody's living in fully furnished, and then you have a virtual staging over it, and then the buyers get there and they're like, it's a turn off. It's
like, what's going on here? I belong to a lot of real estate groups and staging groups on Facebook, and so a couple of the staging schools have Facebook groups, and where we can talk to other stagers across the country. And that's feedback that we're receiving, is like a lot of people are doing exactly that. Like they'll Photoshop the yard, like heavily Photoshop the yard, or change the color of the house. In some cases, it's happened. And most recently, an agent in Rhode Island, posted on Facebook that the listing photo showed green grass in a beautiful yard, and they got there with the client, and they had 5 dogs and a grub problem. And I was like, whoa, like that's bad. Like it's going to take a while.
Misleading.
It's very misleading, and it. I think that it sort of, speaks to the agent's character and what they're willing to do to try and get a sale.
Well, I mean, I've had buyers that we've walked into properties in that situation, and we didn't even spend less than 5 minutes there because it was just a big turnoff. So, I mean, I don't think a home seller realizes how important it is to have your first impression. It's
Right.
I
To
always say it's
showcase
like
it.
a resume. You can't do that over when you first walk in on an interview and shake somebody's hand and have that first impression. You don't get a do-over. So
Yeah.
buyers, if they rule that property out, they don't go back, they don't look back at it, or they might discount it.
Right. They might, they might offer really low. And then, another part of that is how long is that property going to sit on the market? And people are going to start to wonder why it's sitting. Why is it sitting on the market? Why hasn't it sold yet? There must be something wrong with it. We're going to look at a property this afternoon. It's beautiful. Like, it's gorgeous. I love it. They did a beautiful job renovating it. It's virtually staged, and it's been on the market for 60 days. Why isn't it selling? It's priced right. It's
I mean,
priced.
the only time I think
It's priced properly.
I think the only time you could virtually stage something is if it's a new construction and it's not built yet, to give an idea.
I agree with you 100%.
That's
Absolutely.
the only time you could really get away with it because there's not an actual physical property there yet.
Yep.
And even then, it's hard to sell because people still can't vision what that kind of property will look like done. I even think when you have a new construction, it's tough because when people go in through the stages, they don't realize how big it really is until the drywall goes up.
Absolutely right. It's very deceiving when you walk into a shell without the walls up. And then once that drywall goes up, you can really see the parameters of each room. I want to backtrack just a little bit. We were talking about the staging, about the whole staging process when we meet with a client. One thing that we didn't discuss. There are times the client wants the entire home staged, every bedroom, the office, the living room, everything, and we can do that for them. There are other times where, and we discuss this with the homeowner, where we only need to hit the key rooms, the main bedroom and all the public rooms in the house. And that's an option as well. And we only do that, say, if when you go into the secondary bedrooms, that it's quite obvious what this room is used for and where the bed is going. Some of the smaller bedrooms, people have a real difficult time trying to picture where am I going to put the items, the furniture, how big of a bed can you fit in there? So that's one thing about staging. It doesn't have to be everything. We can edit it down to just the priority rooms or the rooms that are going to have the best impact. And that makes it a lot easier for some clients to digest because they think we're going to go in there and revamp the entire home, and they get a little nervous, a little anxious about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure some people get a little insulted. I mean, I always tell people, get rid of all the stuff on the refrigerator, those magnets, everything, get rid of it.
Yep.
Put all the stuff away on the counters, like just keep it free and clear when I know you got to use it, but when somebody's coming, put it away.
There's nothing better for me and Josh, and we dealt with this over the summer. The last time we dealt with this was over the summer. We had a client on the east side of Providence, and we walked the home with them, and we gave them a list. We gave them homework to do. Okay, this needs to happen. It was an occupied staging, which means we're using their existing furniture rather than an empty home where we bring in our own furniture. And that's another option with staging. If your house is fully furnished, we can go and we can readjust the furniture in the home, suggest edits, bring in a few pieces if you're missing a few items, and we can update everything that way. These folks had some great furniture, but they had a lot of clutter, a lot of tchotchkes. We gave them a list, what to edit, what to pull, and we went back. I think we gave them 2 weeks. Went back and they got an A+ on their homework. They did everything to the letter. In fact,
That's nice.
we went back for the second visit. Josh dropped me off because he had to
go pick up some
he had to
artwork.
pick up a piece of artwork for a client. And I texted him saying, Josh, come back. I'm done. I was only here for 30 minutes. I showed them how to do a hospital corner on the bed, and I moved a plant, and I sat there and I had coffee with them for 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Said, but these folks were ideal. They got it. They understood the process, and they took emotion out of it. They realized if they wanted to get into the home that they already had purchased, the second home was already purchased, and they wanted to drop down from 2 mortgage payments down to just 1, then this is what they need to do to make it happen. And they're off at their new home. Somebody else moved into their East Side home, and it was a happy story for everybody.
That's really great. I mean, and that's, you said the key word right there, take the emotion out of it. You really need to take, when you're selling your home, you have to take the emotion out of it. We all are attached to certain things in our homes, like that special light you inherited from your grandmother, crystal chandelier.
Exactly. That's not going to appeal to everybody, you know.
Right.
Or like a lot of people have like urns, you know, and as personal as those are, and as important as they are to have, and you know, to respect and showcase your loved one, they can.
It's
like,
not appropriate for a staging.
They can like turn people off.
Yeah.
Right.
Nobody wants to go into a home and see an urn.
Yeah.
With somebody else's ashes. It just kind of takes away the whole mood of buying a home.
Or like those, or the, you know, the marriage photos from
The big giant ones,
like
the big murals.
exactly, the huge ones that were actually like printed, like developed, you know.
To believe people actually did that back then.
I
still
know,
do it.
right? They still do it.
They still do it. We still see them.
Film processing going on.
Yeah. I'm sure you see. We all see a lot of things over the years.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We do see a lot of stuff. We've been into a lot of, you know, we've been in everything from, you know, a mobile home to something waterfront in, you know, Newport or whatever. You know, we've seen things. We've met a lot of people though too. We have situations where, you know, we'll drive by a house. I remember those. It's nice.
Now, do you just you go into Massachusetts and Connecticut as well?
Yes. Yep. We'll go probably, you know, as far up as Boston. We have a listing in Boston coming up. You know, in like that surrounding area. Road is Worcester. You know,
We've done Eastern Connecticut near the casinos, near Mystic, in that area, and as far north as
North Andover.
Yeah, Andover, Mass.
That's pretty good distance.
Yeah, I mean, one of our goals is to make staging accessible to everybody. You know, so you know, no matter what.
I have to say,
what you need or where you are, you know, we want to be able to do with that.
I have to say, I had a property years ago, and the little girl's room was beautiful. It was such a cute little princess room, but the walls were like this fuchsia pink, and everybody that came into the listing loved the property, but couldn't get past the paint color. And you know, you think about it, it's paint it when you move in, but once they made it a neutral tone, house sold. You know,
well, a fun story. Josh and I staged $1 million home in Lincoln, Rhode Island, earlier this, and the agent walks in, and the homeowner was there, and the first thing we noticed was every room was painted pink, and every pink, Barbie's dress, basically pink carpet, pink walls, and everything was dated. And the whole house was stuck in a mark back 1980. And it took a little arm wrestling, a little, you know, convincing, but the woman finally she found to have the pink painted out in 2 rooms. What difference it made. The color in very neutral beige tone. She installed even the curtains up. So we compromised on that.
Right.
But what a difference. And the agent even said this house never would have sold if you guys didn't do that with the pink.
Yeah,
If we didn't get rid of that pink color.
Yeah, they had 2 open houses and got a full price offer, which in the market that the property was in the amount of work that it needed was a big deal. So.
Well, I for one love what you guys done. I've seen your work and I love it. And I look forward to staging with you guys. I got a few things going on for the new year. So I look forward. You guys are going to be challenged with some of the stuff I want to tell you right
Oh
now.
boy.
Well, you gave us a little bit of a heads up, so we're looking forward to working with you on that. I think it'll be exciting.
Yeah, I think so too. And I have to say, like, the home sellers out there and realtors, if you're listening, like, I mean, one of my big pet peeves is like cell phone pictures.
Oh
And
my gosh, yeah.
that drives me totally insane. Like, if you don't know how to take pet pictures professionally, don't do it. Like, it's like having a photographer or a home stager go sell the house when they're not experienced in doing it. Like, use the people in the right fields to help you achieve the end goal. So, like,
Right.
I highly recommend you and Chris, 110%. And I hope you realtors out there and you sellers are really listening to this and taking to heart, because I think with the market we're going into, that we're in now, the lines of people standing outside waiting to get in, it's not going to be as easy as to sell a house. I think the houses are still going to sell. I think we're going to see a good spring market, but it's not going to be like it was last year.
Right. We're going to have to actually, work a little bit to sell it. And one of the things that I've been asked recently is, or has been explained to us recently is, hey, this is a flip. They bought it really high, with the cost of everything to get the property ready to go back on the market. There's very little margin for staging. Is there anything that you can do to help us? And I think for the next, 2 to 3 months, then there are things that we can do to help you, and, maybe we'll include extra space or something, do a light staging or whatever you have, whatever works with the budget to help you get the property sold, so that you're not hanging on to it. So it's not sitting as we go into spring and, you have to do another price drop for it to be relevant again, so we are willing to work with people, on many different things on pricing, extra rooms or whatever, in the market that we're in. I think that it's important for us to, recognize that people need help right now.
I think that's the biggest takeaway from that a lot of people, when they hear home staging, some of them will just say no because they don't know what it's all about, or they hear the dollar amount or what it would cost, and they shoot it down immediately. But just have a consultation with us. Talk to us. We have a lot of different options, things that we can do, because our goal is the same as yours, to get the house sold.
Right. No, I agree. Oh, I lost you guys. I just lost Josh and Chris. I don't know what happened.
I got a phone call. I'm sorry.
Oh. That phone. You got to go to your next staging appointment.
Right? Pretty much. Yeah. Off we go.
I don't know.
Well, our time is up, but I have to say, this is very interesting. And if anybody wants to contact you, I do have your information on the banner. I will put it in the chat.
Beautiful. Appreciate that. Thank you.
And is there a preferred way you'd like anybody to reach you?
They can text, they can call, they can text, they can go to the website and, put a contact form in. Either way, it all goes to my phone. So I'm happy to help, even if it's just questions, questions about staging, questions about, can you come look at my property and give me an accurate quote? We'll do that. You know, we work all over the state, and all of the other areas that we talked about. So every day we're somewhere, either up there or down here or over here. You know, we can fit you in, even if
And
you.
I always tell realtors too, when they're listing a property, just because you're sitting with the seller that night doesn't mean the property should go on the next morning. Give a marketing
Oh
plan.
my gosh.
For
Yeah. Give them time to get it ready. Give them time to get it ready.
Absolutely.
I see this all the time, that like realtors don't give themselves enough time, and the seller wants it on the market the next day. And
Yeah.
it's really a marketing process you have to have lined up, because you don't get a second chance to do it. So you got to do it right the first time.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, again, we could talk all day. We had a listing a couple of weeks ago where the agent emailed and said, "Hey, yeah, it's ready to go. You guys here's the lockbox code. You guys can go take a look at it." And this was our first staging with this agent, and we got to the house, and I was like, "This isn't ready. Like, the house is not ready. It's just not done yet, and I'm not going to stage it. It's not ready. I think that we need to give them more time." And I said to the agent, I said, "You know what? If it means that we don't have the opportunity to stage this property, if you go with somebody else or you decide not to stage it, because I'm not willing to right now, then that's how it has to be, you know." And the agent and the seller took our advice, and they waited. They completed a few things that we gave them a little bit of a punch list, and they did it and got it ready. The property was on the market for 5 days and it sold.
See, there you go. Proven history.
So and like, we're in a market now where 2, 3, 4, 5 days on the market before you get an offer that's a big deal.
It is.
So yeah, so we're willing to help. We love to help. We can help you however you need.
Well, I appreciate you, Josh and Chris, for being here. And
Thank you.
We can probably go on with this conversation for another hour.
I know, right?
But I strongly suggest any sellers or realtors out there, reach out to Chris and Josh directly. They're wonderful at what they do, and they will help get your home sold in due time, most likely, and probably for a little bit more money, or exactly what you're asking for.
Yep.
So thank you again. I appreciate it. And thanks everybody for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vicki.
Have a great day.
See you
Have a
soon.
great day.